we will kick off Mullification Monday with a few overreactions and why those overreactions should be tempered. Why they should be lessened. Why we shouldn't be as furious, as happy about what we saw in week 1. Mostly negative here, but again, I want to hear your overreactions. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, or on Twitter, at Ryan Hickey Show. Let's hear all your week 1 overreactions. But I have a few here that I want to kind of dive into and explain why. Let's pump the brakes a little bit what we watched. Number 1, I will go homer here with my team, the Indianapolis Colts, because this is a team, and this is a result yesterday, that one had people intriguing because of the new quarterback with Philip Rivers, right? There's a lot of questions. Philip Rivers going to the Colts, what he had left. If you listened to this show at any point between March and now, you know I'm not the biggest Philip Rivers fan. I'm not afraid to say it. I was not happy when they signed him. I thought personally he was just an older version of Jacoby Brissett, and I'd rather see what you have with Jacoby Brissett, have him prove in the year that he's healthy, see what he has. See if he can finish a full season healthy and see what kind of skills he has. Colts opted not to do that. They signed Philip Rivers. And week 1, let's just say, did not go to plan. They lose to a team that's not even in the business of winning. I was tweeting this yesterday. Somebody please tell Gardner Minshew the Jaguars aren't trying to win this year. And with that, with a tank already in full effect, you cut Leonard Fournette, you trade basically anyone with talent on that team last year and this year. The Jaguars were trying to go 0-16, 1-50, basically as close to guaranteeing the number 1 spot as possible. And what happens? Phil Rivers said, no thanks. 2 brutal interceptions. One led to a touchdown in the first half. Another came later in the game. Colts trailing, led to a field goal, made it a touchdown game. Jaguars eventually win 27-20. Here's the overreaction. Philip Rivers still stinks. He's washed up. He's done. Now understand, a lot of this are my thoughts, to be honest, heading into this game. But watching that game yesterday, Philip Rivers, yes, those 2 interceptions were bad. But yesterday was not his fault. There was way, way more egregious play from other positions than Philip Rivers. Again, the 2 interceptions are costly, and that's kind of what his career bugaboo has been. That's what he's really known for. Throwing some bad interceptions, especially in some big times. I tell you, this is a total team loss. This was a total flop by the Colts, who I thought were going to win the division. Some people, not myself, but some people had dark horse Super Bowl contenders. And this is a team with high expectations, double-digit win expectations. But yeah, the offensive line, one of the best, if not the best in football. Maulers, right? Led by Quentin Nelson, the only viral guard in the NFL. But you know what happened yesterday? The Colts offensive line, in terms of run blocking, stunk. They opened up no holes. That Jaguars defensive line put pressure on the O-line, didn't really open up many running lanes, and the Colts as a team only rushed for 88 yards. I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. That is not acceptable. That's not how you win a game. You can't have Philip Rivers throw the ball 46 times and expect to win. That's not why Philip Rivers was brought here. Which gets me to my next point. Frank Reich. I love Frank Reich. I am a massive fan. I love his aggressiveness. His play calling at times was sketchy, and he got way too cute a few times. A 4th and 1 in the red zone. The Colts have Marlon Mack. The Colts have Jonathan Taylor. 2 physical, and especially with Jonathan Taylor, big backs, hard to tackle. 4th and 1. You figure, okay, one of those 2 guys, maybe even Jonathan Taylor, get him some burn as a rookie. 4th and 1, you're going for it. You're going to run the ball. Let's give it to him. Let's just put our heads down, physical football. Let's get the yard and let's keep moving. Instead, it's Nyheim Hines, a scat back. If you don't know Nyheim Hines, I don't blame you. Obviously, they're NFL players, so they're stronger than me. But picture someone of my stature, a little bit shorter, but someone. Would you hand the ball off to me? If your team needed 1 yard, would you hand the ball off to me? I'm going to say no. I wouldn't even give the ball to myself. I'm not getting that yard. But Frank Reich, for whatever reason, thought that Nyheim Hines, the smallest back on the roster, when you need 1 yard and you need basically a man to carry the ball, thought he was going to be the man to carry the ball. Guess what? Spoiler alert in case you missed it. Colts did not get that. That was one. Another one, the Colts were down in the red zone later on in the game. And they decided to put Jacoby Brissett in a pseudo-wildcat package. Well, that blew up in their face. So Frank Reich got too cute. Secondary was carved up like a Thanksgiving turkey. I mean, Gardner Minshew had more touchdown passes than incompletions. He went 19 of 20. 19 of 20. Gardner Minshew for 3 touchdowns. So, yeah, Philip Rivers, obviously, the 2 interceptions, especially the one late, is the one that we'll circle, we'll point to. You'll see on Twitter. You'll see the highlights. You'll see people joke. To me, this is not Philip Rivers stinking. This is not Philip Rivers' fault. I mean, he deserves blame. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not here overreacting saying Philip Rivers is done. The play calling, the run blocking, the secondary, that was a total team failure. So that's the first overreaction. Number 2, Eagles totally screwed. Up 17-0 against a bad Washington team with all of, we'll say, the headlines surrounding them this offseason, right? There are a lot of headlines, mostly negative, surrounding Washington coming into the 2020 season. You're up 17-0, the game should be over. The Eagles have playoff hopes. The Eagles still have their hopes on winning the division, possibly. Then you blow that and you let Washington go on a 27-0 run led by Dwayne Haskins, and you lose the game. But here's why there's no panic if you're an Eagles fan. Because I know it's quickly, it's easy to hit the panic button. Here's why you shouldn't. This was a nightmare mismatch in week number 1. You had an offensive line that was one injury away from putting your dad as the guard or a tackle. And honestly, they were one injury away, basically playing with 4 offensive linemen. They were so banged up, both of their starting tackles that were projected to be starters were out. The depth was just so weak because of so many injuries. You had that offensive line, makeshift offensive line, going against one of the best defensive lines in football. And then you add Chase Young to it, who had a day himself as in his first game as an NFL player. 8 sacks of Carson Wentz. Hint, as a guy who's injury prone, it's just a principle in general. That's not the way you win games. Now, to me, obviously, this is the offense kind of slowing down, especially in the second half, function of just not being able to give Carson Wentz any time. And that's because the offensive line was so banged up. So as they get healthier, as Miles Sanders, another guy who missed the game, gets healthier and returns, health will make this team a lot better. So no need to panic right away. No need to kind of already punt on the season or try to trade Carson Wentz or do all these crazy things. This was just a brutal mismatch in week number 1 where it was the strength of one team against really the weakness of another, and that was exploited. When your weakness is the offensive line, you're in big trouble. So health should really cure these woes for the Eagles. I do want to give quickly, not overreaction, I want to give a quick shout out. Ron Rivera. Like I said, not only you take over this team in the midst of turmoil with your owner, with the team name, with how the culture is run, and you were brought in there to change that culture. You get down 17-0. Don't panic. You come back, and not only that, as a man who's fighting cancer courageously, had to get an IV at halftime just to have enough energy to coach the second half. Think about that. And so was able to lead his team to a come-from-behind victory. Shout out to Ron Rivera. Kuda, that's just an awesome, awesome win for him, the person. And for what he's trying to build in Washington, that is a massive undertaking. Massive. But kudos to you, Ron Rivera. I'm glad that you deserve it. That might be honestly one of your best wins of your career. Just because the circumstances you were facing, not only health-wise with your own self, but just the incredibly toxic culture you came in there and trying to upheave and remove. That takes years, if you can even do it. Kudos to you. Nice start for Washington with the brand new Washington Football Club. 2 more quickly. Tom Brady, overreaction, is washed up. He threw 2 interceptions, including a pick 6 to the Saints. Not great. Bucs lose by 11 to the Saints. But he had some good throws. He honestly, his arm looked good. And I want to get into this more in the next segment, just about 5 minutes or so. But the offensive line struggled. He's still working on getting his timing down with the receivers. But to me, I'm more encouraged watching Tom Brady in week 1 with the Buccaneers than I am discouraged, than I am concerned. So Tom Brady's washed up. Tom Brady's career is done. The Bucs won't be good. Total overreaction. I want to dive into that in 5 minutes. Finally, really quick here. Last overreaction. Same old Cowboys. Jason Garrett, Mike McCarthy, same roster, doesn't matter. Same old Cowboys. Coming up short, shrinking in the big moment yet again. But there was something I watched that to me, even though it was a loss, even though this decision that I saw didn't work out, I saw a change from the Cowboys under Mike McCarthy, and that was aggressiveness. The decision scrutinized by a lot of people. 4th and 3 inside the red zone. Right? In the fourth quarter, still about 11 minutes to go, down by 3 points. You kick a chip shot field goal, you tie the game. Mike McCarthy goes for it. I love this decision. I love it. Be aggressive. Too many times we've seen the Cowboys take the easy way out, be conservative, and that comes back to bite them. Right? I mean, we complained about Jason Garrett for years on end because he was so conservative. He would never take a risk. And here comes Mike McCarthy, 4th and 3, with CeeDee Lamb, with Michael Gallup, with Amari Cooper, with Ezekiel Elliott. You have 4 phenomenal weapons to throw the ball to or give the ball to. Use them. So sure, it didn't work out. Sure, CeeDee Lamb maybe could have ran his route a little bit deeper. You know, he ran it basically 2 yards instead of 3 yards. He came up a yard short. But I love the aggressiveness. And credit to the Rams for making that great play there. But I love the aggressiveness from Mike McCarthy. That's what you have to do. You have the weapons, use them. And as long as you're smart, which I thought that was a smart, aggressive play. It wasn't reckless. You didn't do it in your own end, and you didn't do it unnecessarily. If you are smart and you're aggressive, to me, it pays off in the long run. Especially with the weapons you have on offense, that's going to work out more times than not. So sure, it didn't work out the first time you did it. Sure, it didn't work out when everyone was watching on Sunday Night Football. Mike McCarthy, I hope you don't get gun shy. I hope you keep on trying to be aggressive, because if you keep making decisions like this, to go for it on 4th and 3, say, screw the field goal, we're going to go for a touchdown here. We're going to trust the guys we have. We're going to trust our $30 million quarterback, by the way, that the Cowboys keep saying they love, but Jason Garrett didn't want to trust with the ball in his hands. Keep doing it, because to me, you'll have success. I love Mike McCarthy's decision to go for it on 4th down. And again, it didn't work. Keep doing it, Mike. Keep doing it, because that's like what the Cowboys were missing desperately last year, and really the entire Jason Garrett era. Keep it going. So to me, it's not the same old Cowboys. It's not the same Jason Garrett-led Cowboys, super conservative. Mike McCarthy flashed a little aggressiveness, and I hope he continues. I hope he doesn't get gun-shy. Hope he continues to be aggressive, because that will pay off for the Cowboys in the long run. So those are a few of my overreactions, and why at least I'm trying to calm or slow down some of the narratives here that are coming this way. Chris William Wynn writes it on Facebook. My Monday overreaction. Despite the Bears and Mitchell Trubisky comeback win in Detroit, Chicago still makes no sense to me. You bring in a Super Bowl MVP in Nick Foles, and then you sit Mitch because he wasn't cutting it, and you sit him on the bench. I don't get it. I love it. And Chris he already wrote it first week. He's a Lions fan. And Chris, we'll get to the Lions in quick hits. So just about an hour or so from now, I want to get into the Lions and just classic Lions performance. But I'm with Chris. Mitchell Trubisky for 3 quarters looked like he wasn't even going to have a job again in the NFL. He looked like he wasn't even going to make it on the team bus. There was a chance, because we've seen it before. USC and Lane Kiffin have left him on the tarmac. There was a chance, Matt Nagy, if they don't come back and win that game, if Mitchell Trubisky plays in the 4th quarter like he did the first 3 quarters, there was a chance he, quote-unquote, accidentally misses the team bus on the way to the airport. There's a chance that the Bears accidentally leave Mitchell Trubisky on the tarmac and forget to bring him back to Chicago. He was brutal. He was not even brutal. He was awful. Awful. But he stepped up in the 4th quarter. Maybe that, silences some of the criticism he had for now, but I'm with Chris. I don't get the Bears offense. This is still, to me, trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Mitchell Trubisky is a mobile quarterback. He plays great out of the pocket. He plays great on the run. And Matt Nagy just doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to cater to the strengths of his quarterback and then wonders why he struggles. So I do put some blame on Matt Nagy for not bringing the best out of Mitchell Trubisky.